It was only a couple of weeks ago that I reviewed the Audiolab Omnia that you can see there behind me. And in the same week that I published that review, there was a pretty big software update that made my review out of date already. So while the Omnia was still here, it made sense to me to pull that original review down and semi-start again. I'm glad I did because it gave me more listening time, more reflection time, more time to question myself. And really, I felt it was important to actually tell people and talk about this new software update because it has made a really big difference, a really big improvement to what the Omnia is like to sit and listen to, and I suppose live with as a all-in-one HiFi hub, CD playing, music streaming amplifier. And I want to start this review there with this big update and also try and do a little better job this time of explaining what the Omnia is and how it separates itself from Audiolab's more affordable 6000 range. One of the key features of the Omnia is the built-in music streamer, and Audiolab have opted to use DTS Play Fi for this. And DTS Play Fi has been on the receiving end of the sharp stick of criticism, with one of the biggest criticisms being that it didn't play music gaplessly. And I'm sure most people watching this video are already very familiar with what this means, but if you're new to music streaming, it just means that in between every single track, DTS Play Fi would put a gap there. And I suppose this really stands out to you if you listen to maybe a lot of long DJ mixes or maybe long classical pieces of music, or really any music that's intended to be one long, I suppose, flowing piece of music, but with the album divided into individual tracks. And there are a lot of albums like this. And when there's a gap in between those, you just get this all of a sudden kind of jarring, jolting stop to the music, and it can be quite jarring and it does pull you out of the music and it's not ideal. But this is no longer an issue because Play-Fi have solved this with their latest 8.1 update. Well, at least for some Play-Fi devices, because the release notes say for newer Play-Fi devices. So I assume that means not all of them, but it's fixed it for the Omnia, which is what is important to me. And I think the reason this is a big deal is because it's removed that potential deal breaker for new to Omnia customers. And I also think it just makes the Omnia just a much nicer product to sit and listen to music on. And it's been interesting because I've had it here and I've listened to it, with the gaps and without the gaps. I think subconsciously, when there's no gaps there, even music where albums have a gap, where the music stops and the next song starts, the way those two songs flow into each other is just better. So yeah, maybe it's subconscious, I'm not sure, but I do think this update has made a really big difference. The Omnia is now just a much nicer product to sit and listen to music on, obviously streamed music through Play-Fi. And Play-Fi is a huge part of the user experience with the Omnia, so I need to go into detail about it. But I think it's important to first explain how the Omnia is different to the Audiolab 6000 range and why it costs more. Firstly, and most obviously, the Omnia looks very different. Because it is different, it's intended to be a higher specified, higher performing, more feature-rich product, and that is why it comes with the premium price tag of £1,599. And the Omnia is intended to be your hi-fi music hub, an all-in-one type of solution that has a very rare thing, a CD player. Not many streaming amplifiers offer this. In fact, most don't. And yet CD playback is still important to many audiophiles. So the Omnia has an obvious edge there over its competitors. And by all accounts, the transport that has been used is a very good one. And I have been told by Audiolab that the CD playback is gapless. That is a question that came up in the last review video. And yeah, I checked it with Audiolab and they confirmed you don't need to do anything. It will play CDs gaplessly straight out of the box. But more important to me is the Omnia has a higher specified DAC, an ESS Sabre Pro 32-bit 9038Q2M, which is used in some other more expensive similar products. And DAC chips and their implementations matter for sound quality, of course, for both the CD playback and music streaming. Also, the new DAC brings with it MQA playback support for Tidal, and despite what it says on the Audiolab website, the Omnia will play MQA files using the built-in Play Fi music streamer. So to me, MQA support is a major defining distinguishing difference between the Omnia and the Audiolab 6000 range, for the audiophiles that listen to MQA music, of course. On the rear are a comprehensive set of analog and digital connections, both input and output, including USB, and that is again different to the 6000 range, so you could connect a computer to the Omnia or maybe a USB device loaded with music. And this will be great for some as it means DSD playback is possible. And I also like the nicer speaker cable terminals from the amplifier. And amplifier wires, we get, I'm told, conservatively rated 50 watts into 8 ohms and 75 watts into 4 ohms of power per channel, which is the same as the 6000 range, but I was told it's not the exact same amplifier. Apparently the amplifier has been tweaked, improved for the Omnia. And then for me, the much nicer rounded edges and extra details to the casework make it feel more premium, and we get the 4.3-inch colour screen, which is a nice addition and definitely makes accessing the menu easier and more intuitive experience. And the screen does have some cool animations, and the 2 different types of VU meters is pretty cool if you're in the mood. And I'm glad the screen is there, but there is never any album art displayed on it like a lot of other solutions do as a point of difference. The Omnia has a built-in moving magnet phono stage, which I tested, and I know you want to know about the sound quality of the Omnia. Of course you do. It's really important, and it's great. You know, the Omnia sounds great. But before we go there, I want to discuss the music streaming experience, the DTS Play Fi music streaming experience, because I feel like in 2022 it's got to be, how most audiophiles are going to consume most of their music. And I feel like with a premium product, with a premium price tag, the music streaming experience needs to also be premium. The experience needs to be great. For music streaming, I think Audiolab have chosen for all of their products to date to use and license DTS Play Fi, which is a third-party company solution. And DTS is the company that made all of your favorite DVD and Blu-ray soundtracks. So it's a company that we know really well. And Play Fi is their answer to the problem of wireless multi-room music streaming. And DTS Play Fi is unique in that it is manufacturer agnostic, which means you can have a wireless multi-room system in your home of all different manufacturer products, so long as they all feature Play Fi. And that could be one of the key standout reasons why you're interested in the Omnia, because you want this type of product to fit in with your Play Fi wireless home multi-room setup. But that's not something that's of interest to me. I only have one room where audio is really important to me, and it is really important. I just want the ultimate, absolute best music, sound quality, streaming and more experience I can get in that room. Now, I think this is really important for you to pay attention to. DTS Play Fi works very differently to 99.9% of other music streaming solutions that you might have seen or maybe are considering between. Most music streaming solutions will use a device like this, like a smartphone or a tablet, purely as a glorified remote control. The app that runs on the phone or tablet will literally just be controlling the streamer that's built into the device that you're listening to. So the remote control tells the streamer to go and get the music and play the music. But DTS Play Fi doesn't work like that. DTS Play Fi actually takes the music stream from the cloud and streams it to the phone or the tablet or the control device that's running DTS Play Fi. And from there, it streams it via your network to the Play device. So in this instance, that's to the Omnia. So that's different. Let me explain that again. So DTS Play Fi takes the music from the cloud, streams it to the phone or the tablet, to the Play Fi app, and from there, streams it to the Omnia or whichever DTS Play Fi device is playing the music. So it's like an extra step in the chain. And the reason why that's important is because it means that the device that's doing the streaming, the device that's running the Play Fi app needs to always be on, and you will always need to have the Play Fi app on in order to get music. Turn the app off, turn the phone off, it will kill the music. But I think more interesting is, say for example, you are using your phone to do this, and you go into Facebook or maybe into YouTube, well then there's a chance, depending on the settings, that it will stop the music playing, in this instance, through the Omnia. Something to consider. I also think to consider is if you are, again, using the phone and you receive a phone call, the Omnia will stop playing until that phone call was finished, and then it will start playing again. And that could be a really great feature for some of you, or maybe a hellish one, depending on, I suppose, how things are configured and how you want things to be. So it's just an important point for me to stress is that Play Fi works very differently. And I think what's important about it is it just means that the device that has Play Fi running on its phone or tablet, its network connection to your router is really important, just as important as the network connection between the play-in device, which is the Omnia in this instance, and the router. And with other solutions, I think that network connection isn't quite so critical. And as a result, I actually think Play Fi makes even more sense for you to have a dedicated music control device, like a tablet that you have in your listening room, to use instead of your phone. I think the larger screen of the tablet makes for a better user experience anyway, so it's worth the investment. And it does away with the phone getting in the way of the music problem, or vice versa. And I use an iPad Pro, a 2021 model, and the DTS Play Fi. The app is extremely fast, it's very responsive, and it's easy to get about, select music, and hit the play button. The speed of everything is definitely a big plus, and I like that about it. But there are some distinct negatives. First is the way music is only listed and not displayed as a grid of album art. Album art grids, I think, are nicer to browse through, and I think it's more the de facto way to display things these days. Another complaint I have is with the volume control. I wish there was a plus and minus button, because I find volume sliders hard to nail the exact volume that I want. So I often ended up using the remote control to change the volume, which is no real big deal, because I probably prefer that anyway, because there is no school like the old school. And then one other complaint I have is when using Play Fi to stream music from Qobuz, for example. I think there is everything there in terms of the features, but it's just displayed in a very different way. And I like the Qobuz app. It's slick, it's nice to use. But using Qobuz in Play Fi, you have to learn a new way of interacting and controlling your music. And it's not very intuitive. Play Fi is pretty plain and simple, and it's an obvious step down in terms of the experience compared to using the Qobuz app, which, let's face it, we do get for free. I think that the fact we get that for free, and we could be, used to that type of user experience, it probably sets kind of a minimum standard of expectation for the user experience for when streaming music from Qobuz. Play Fi version of Qobuz, it does fall, I think, unfortunately, quite far short of that in terms of the user experience, just how everything's laid out, how everything looks, and how everything works. But Play Fi, you know what? It's okay. I don't mind it. It's absolutely okay. It's easy to use, easy to navigate around, easy to learn. And yeah, it's more about pressing play and listening to the music, right, than messing around with the app anyway. But I don't want to take too much away. The app experience, the user experience is really important. Time to talk sound quality, and of course I feel exactly the same today as I did a couple of weeks ago about the Omnia in terms of sound quality. I did lots of testing, lots of comparative testing originally, so I'm going to revert back to that original footage, but I'm also then going to come back and give you one big addition, because I spent this last week listening to the Omnia in isolation with the new Mission 700 speakers, and that's been a really interesting experience. And that is because the Omnia sounds clean, crisp and smooth in the main, with the big sonic positive of sounding very open and very three-dimensional for its soundstage, which is nice. I always enjoy that. And I also enjoyed the overall balance the Omnia strikes between its leading edge clarity and smoothness. There is just about enough of both with very good timing. And vocals sound just about enough tonally satisfying with just about enough clarity and resolution, but not too much to sound etched. The treble is a little softer than I think is ideal, but it's clear and present enough. And I did enjoy a higher frequency ambience presence in some live recorded music. It's definitely something that stood out to me, and something that I noticed listening to a Melody Gardot live EP or album that I've been really enjoying recently. And the bass from the Omnia is really very interesting because regulars to the channel will know I'm extremely fussy when it comes to bass, and I generally like more bass than most people, mostly because of this room, because of my listening room. It allows me to have a hell of a lot of bass actually, and really the acoustics of this room warrants it. It really kind of needs it. And the Omnia delivered just about enough bass overall for me to be satisfied. Lovely in some music that is mastered bass hot, like Lady Blackbird Black Acid Soul, but there was not quite enough deeper bass impact from some electronic music that I listened to. But the bass quality from the Omnia is excellent, it's tight and controlled, very well timed, and it's definitely notes, not noise. But interestingly, this was not clear cut, because in some music, the bass impact, the punch, the percussive bass was really very impressive, and I'm sure a lot of this sounds very familiar to you, excuse the pun, because it is that very atypical Audiolab sound. It's smooth, neutral sound that really, I think, appeals maybe a little bit more to my head than it does my heart because of personal preferences, but it's also a sound that's very difficult to fault because it's so even-handed, because it's so well judged, because it's so well balanced across pretty much every single sonic area. And there is also, as you would hope, consistency in the sound quality between playing CDs, streaming from Qobuz, and listening to vinyl using the internal phono stage. The phono stage really impressed me actually. It's very clean and clear sounding with a nice amount of gain, and it mirrors the sound that I just described, but I do think the digital sources have the edge here. And I also listen loud, and I had the Omnia always turned up. Its 50 watts was enough power for the Mission 770, but I have heard them sound better for bass and in other ways on amplifiers with more power and control. So that was my next step, to do some comparisons. The Arcam SA30 now costs £1,899, and it is a very viable alternative so long as listening to CDs is not important to you, of course. And to make the comparison fair, I disengaged Dirac and then listened to the Melody Gardot Live in Soho EP that I've been really enjoying lately. And it's interesting because both of these amplifiers feature the same DAC, but it couldn't sound any more different. The sonic presentations are totally different. And straight away you do notice the Arcam has more power. Everything sounds more solid, and it's also maybe a little warmer sounding compared to the Omnia, or maybe it's just a little darker. It's really hard to say. Melody's vocal is stronger sounding, and the crowd claps have more body to them from the Arcam. And there is more emphasis on the centre vocals with less emphasis on the backing instruments, and definitely less of a sense of live occasion and soundstage space. So some of this I prefer and some I don't. And I can easily see the sound presentations from these amplifiers, splitting audio files straight down the middle, 50-50. And I feel the Arcam does still have the edge for the overall streaming music user experience, but there is less in it now. Play Fi plays gaplessly. The Arcam is fully room ready and not just room tested. That could be a big difference for you, not for me. The Arcam has an EARC HDMI input with CEC control for making life a little easier to fit it into a media room attached to a TV for TV type sound type of setup, and you can do the exact same thing with the Omnia, just using the optical connection, but it won't be quite as integrated. And one of the features that the Arcam offers is Dirac room correction. But what about the new Mission 700 speakers? Well, that is what I have spent the last week testing, because I was told there is great synergy between them, and audiophiles are always looking for products that have great synergy, especially between amplifiers and speakers. And I was told the truth. It's still very early days for me with the new Mission 700 speakers, but interestingly, there's a lot of similarities to the 770s, but some very distinct differences as well. I think they are warmer sounding. They're a little bit more bold in their kind of mid-bass presence region, which actually works fantastically well with the sound characteristics of the Omnia. And there is a great synergy there, and you can tell that because you don't think about it. All you think about is your music collection and what you want to listen to next. So, long review number 2, definitely time to wrap things up and sum things up. What a difference a week can make, or what a difference a software update can make. And it has been a really nice week actually sitting and listening to the Omnia in isolation with the Mission 700 speakers. I've really enjoyed it for the audio quality and because all the music has been gapless. That really does make a difference actually, a bigger difference than I was expecting it to make. And I think it really makes a difference to how I feel about the Omnia overall as a product at its price point against its competitors. And let's face it, there is a lot of stiff competition for products at this kind of price point, £1,599. Lots of good manufacturers are all producing very good all-in-one types of products. And it's the key differences. I think it's the ticking the right boxes for the individual that really matters here, because with an all-in-one type solution, for me at least, they only make sense when they do nearly everything for you, or really they should do everything for you. And I think that's interesting because it's unlikely that any all-in-one type of HiFi product will do it all for you, and if they did, it would probably be really expensive. So I think it's a case of choosing your poison, picking the most important things for you, even if it means spending a bit more money. Make sure the all-in-one HiFi system ticks all the right boxes. And for me, the big boxes that the Omnia ticks is that CD player. Of course, that's going to make it stand out. Definitely the Audiolab sound quality, the smooth neutral type of sound quality. It's very nice to listen to and great actually to listen to with some speakers. And now the music streaming smarts of the Omnia is definitely improved. Yeah, Play Fi is definitely better. Now it's gapless. But being honest, I still think as a solution, it's still, for the user experience part of it, it's still not as good as what other competitor products are producing. I still think other solutions are better. They are better to use as a user experience. But that's for me. I'm more of a power user. I think if you are quite new to music streaming, or if you don't quite maybe care so much, if it's more a case of just nice, something that's really nice and simple and easy to use, well then Play Fi does that. It does make it very easy. And so, yeah, this just depends on, I suppose, where your priorities lie. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. I hope you found it useful and helpful. If you'd like to see more reviews like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you've enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up button. Thank you for watching all the way to the end of this very long review, especially if you've watched it kind of twice. Thanks again. I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.